Good morning, Warzone kids! You're listening to Cosmos Radio, KSMS, where we tune into the great river of life itself, where the agony and the ecstasy are two sides of the same coin, the good and the bad are often the same, where the beautiful and the grotesque are identical twins. Cosmos Radio streams 24/7 for us Warzone kids, all of us just pilgrims on the trail of the Western lands, the place of wholeness, where we learn and become who we are. Today is a great day to start the path to the Western lands. The sky is crystal clear, the moon is full, and our cup is empty. You have nothing to lose but your very own personal hell of pain and suffering, and nothing to gain but the only thing you've ever had anyway, your very own soul. Your soul, your psyche, Greek word for butterfly. So watch your step out there on the trail to the Western lands. This place is thick with caterpillars, and the air is swarming with butterflies. You can be one too, but probably not until everything you thought you were turns to goo and disintegrates right before your very eyes. That goo is where the butterflies come from. And we Warzone kids, we were not born just to suffer and die. No, we were born to be butterflies. We're at home in the goo. I'm a Warzone kid. Hey, let's have a soda. I'm a Warzone, she's a Warzone, they're a Warzone kid. Maybe you're a Warzone kid like us. You might already know you're a Warzone kid, but for those who don't, here are some clues. If you're a childhood sex abuse survivor like I am, you might be a Warzone kid. If you have complex PTSD or developmental PTSD, you might be a Warzone kid. If your childhood was more like a minefield of physical, sexual, emotional, and physical harm, you might be a Warzone kid. If you have BPD like me, or antisocial histrionic, or some other personality disorder, you might be a Warzone kid. If you're a bulimic and binge eater like me, or anorexic like Lady Gaga, you might be a Warzone kid. If you were sexually assaulted as a way of life, if you were kidnapped or trafficked as a child, you might be a Warzone kid. If you're a friend to Bill or an addict like me, you might be a Warzone kid. If you're a cutter, a burner, an eater, or a binger like this guy, you might be a Warzone kid. If you're a puker or a heaver like me, you might be a Warzone kid. If you've been to rehab, if you've worn an ankle bracelet, or if you know exactly how many more DUIs you can get before you're going to have to ride a rickshaw to the grocery store forever, you might be a Warzone kid. If you crave high status because you know deep down and good and well that you are nothing, like me, you might be a Warzone kid. But if you're wealthy and successful on the outside, but live in dread of the hollow emptiness inside, then you might be a Warzone kid. And if you felt alone and subhuman all your life, like me, because things happened to you that you think no one at all could ever understand, then you might be a Warzone kid, and you are definitely not alone. Because if you can hear this, you are deep inside the cosmos, within the sound of KSMS radio, and we are all in it together. The sounds of the cosmos even reach deep inside Schrodinger's box, and that cat in there, that cat may or may not be a Warzone cat, and there's only one way to find out. This day on the trail to the Western lands is brought to you by the Rosy-Fingered Dawn. Ooh, is that on the same channel? That sounds hot. No, Echo, down, boy, down. Good dog. I mean the rosy-fingered dawn that kissed you awake on the first day of life, and the rosy-fingered dawn that will kiss you to sleep on your last day on the trail. I mean the rosy-fingered dawn that was there for you on the morning after the worst day of your life, and she was there for you on the day after that. We were not born just to suffer and die. We are pilgrims, and we are bound for the Western lands. What are these Western lands? You've been yearning for them your whole life without knowing it. They're our home, the land we've never seen, the place we've never left. Look down and grab a handful of the soil at your feet. That soil is the soil of the Western lands. You made it. We made it. We are home. So let's get into the day's walk out on the trail and let the cosmos spin you a tune. Here's one to start us off, a pilgrim's anthem you might call it, because like the elven queen of the frozen north herself, Madame Borealis Aurora, we are running with the wolves tonight. Ooh-ee, ooh-ee, ooh.